When anybody comes to the Dargah Ajmer Sharif, we never ask anybody's name, religion, nationality, where they come from, what language they speak. If we have to ask them only one question: how can we serve you? Take care of the human heart. Even a thought that comes to their heart must be taken care of. And in today's time, the most powerful tool that we can overcome all these challenges, the war that we're seeing, is the power of prayer. I always felt a void in my life. I couldn't understood that void. कोई कमी होती, खालीपन होता है. So we have to nourish the soul with meditation, prayers, gratitude, patience, like we keep our body healthy, right? And we have seen in the past, when you look at the past conflict, they were not resolved with more conflicts. They were resolved with reaching out to each other.
Welcome to Kanacast, a series of conversations with residents and visitors to Kanha Shantivanam, the International Heartfulness Center near Hyderabad, Telangana, India. In today's episode, Deepak Verma is speaking to Haji Syed Salman Chishty. He is the Gaddi Nashin of the Dargah Ajmer Sharif and the chairman of the Chishty Foundation. He is a champion of interfaith harmony and also a public speaker and writer. Haji Syed Salman Chishty visited Kanha Shantivanam for the Global Spirituality Mahotsav 2024.
So Haji sir, it's a joy to welcome you here at Kanha Shantivanam. And I've heard a lot about the Ajmer Dargah. The first time I'm meeting somebody from there, and that too, the head and the chairman of the Chishty Foundation. So my first question is, can you tell me some details about the Chishty Foundation?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu salamu alayka ya Sayyid al-Mursaleen wa rahmatan lil alameen. Greeting of peace, adab, salam, namaskaram, and lots of blessings from Ajmer Dargah Sharif. And it's equally an honor for us to be representing Ajmer Sharif and the tradition from last 800 years of Khaja Moinuddin Chishti Gharib Nawaz radiyallahu anha, and the Chishti Sufi order at the Heartfulness Meditation, the global headquarters here in Kanha Shantivanam and Hyderabad, and under the auspicious guidance of His Reverend Holiness Daji Sahab. And truly it was an experience. We have heard about heartfulness. We read about the spiritual masters, right from Hazur Lalaji to Babaji. And now today experiencing this was truly, for me personally, being first time here, I never felt that this is the first time. It's like a reunion. Because as we talked about Ajmer Sharif and the Chishti order and the Guru Shishya Parampara, which is the Murshid and Murid. And I believe that Huzur Daji is on the fourth Murshid and the spiritual guide as this sacred trust. We call it Muqaddas Amanat, which has been transformed from Sina Basina, heart-to-heart transformation. So I think we are very happy here and honored to be in this blissful rainforest. I heard of that this was a barren place and now it is a rainforest. And truly that's what happened when the saints, when the people and the awliyas, friends of God, they walk the earth, when they settle at some place, that's naturally it evolves. So Chishty Foundation is our initiative, which we have been representing Ajmer Sharif in India at the different conferences and worldwide, internationally from last 16 years. In 2006, when I received the mandate when my father passed away, being the 26th generation Gaddi Nashin, so we developed Chishty Foundation as a global outreach program, a platform where the world is coming to Ajmer Sharif, of course, from all faith tradition. You know the stories of Ajmer Sharif that from last 800 years. Here also at this grand global spirituality Mahotsav, I met so many common friends, who we have been working around the world, and to see them here is truly a heartwarming experience. The world is coming to Ajmer Sharif from all faith traditions, from all different states and different parts of the world. But we always wanted to have that outreach program. In the modern understanding, we call it as an outreach program where we can share the message of unconditional love. And that is the message from Khaja Gharib Nawaz: love towards all and malice and hatred towards none. And I think that is the core foundational principle of Chishty Foundation, that we work together. In serving the people in and around the Dargah, we have a few initiatives like Babul Ilm, which is doorway to knowledge. And then another educational initiative that we have, Radiant Pathways. So that is especially for women education and also for skill development for the underprivileged families around Ajmer district of some of the villages. And other than that, we have been doing a lot of work with art, sacred art, calligraphy, music, because art is something which is very integral as part of the Chishti order when we talk about the Sufi music, Qawwali, and other things. So this is one of the aspects that we do International Sufi Rang Festival from last 16 years, where we invite a lot of unknown artists, calligraphers, musicians, Khatib Quran, those who write the entire Quran, and their neighbor doesn't know that they are such an acclaimed artist. So these are the unknown artists that we try to bring them out of their closets and put them, give a platform where during about 6 days festival annually, when we get a footfall about close to 4 to 5 lakhs. I think that's really the biggest exhibition in India in 6 days, where we can have sacred art, spiritual art. I really wanted to have a look at the Museum of Spiritual Sciences, but of course, next time I'm here just for a day. So there are many similarities that I felt here throughout the day in just less than 24 hours that I'm here. And all in all goodness, all praise, and commendable effort of Daji and his vision, that it has been realized by all the Heartfulness volunteers, devotees, and family, I would say. I've been observing, very minutely that all the volunteers are not just volunteers, they're part of the family. And so dedicatedly they are serving here. So I think that's really commendable. And that's something we find very much similarities. And when we do the seva work as a khuddam, as a khadim, the one who are serving. So being the 26th generation serving family, we see many similarities here.
The Global Peace Award, which today you presented to Daji. So a couple of things on that. One is what inspired you to give the Global Peace Award? And what is the experience in the interaction that you had one-on-one with Daji today?
I will tell you something very interesting that, of course, I knew about Daji's spiritual presence and the work and the order that has been doing at Heartfulness. But it was just a thought in my heart. I would say about 2 years back when I truly learned about the Heartfulness Center and the global work that they're doing. So it was just a thought in my heart that this is a very special place in India. Maybe one day I'll visit it. Not knowing anything much and not having any personal direct contact with the organization. And today that I'm here, it's truly that sign, as Maulana Rumi has said, that when you really, really want something, the whole universe conspire to bring it to you. So today, this is that experience of that. A thought came 2 years back. Last year, we were together. Virtually, Daji participated in the V20 summit as part of the G20 conferences which were organized in Delhi. This was, I think, organized by T-Gulf.
Yes.
And their organization. So that was first virtual interaction and now here. So I think this is an ongoing process. When you really want something, the whole universe conspire and bring it to you. So it's not just an overnight invitation that came for this global spirituality Mahotsav, but it's like building up. So I think that is something very special for us. And this Global Peace Award, yes, that is something very special that we have initiated from Ajmer Sharif. And when we were coming here just a day before, it was not something that we were bringing, of course, the artwork, but just a day before when I was in the Dargah and I was at the feet of the Master, because Ramzan started, so we go for the evening prayers there. And at that moment, a thought came to my heart. I'm sure it's from Khaja Gharib Nawaz, that this is a person who has been evolved and who has received this mandate from their masters and who have really evolved people around him in such a magnificent way of spiritual attribution. So this is a thought that came from Khaja Gharib Nawaz to honor in whatever way we can as the Global Peace Award for the immense and visionary leadership that Reverend Daji Sahab has been sharing and also evolving all the Heartfulness family here into, I think each and every individual that I've met, including you and everybody else, has that special resemblance and that commitment that cannot just come through somebody who's here as a job. I don't think anybody is doing a job here. This has truly come from a commitment from the soul to soul and heart to heart. And that's what I truly believe, that Heartfulness is evolving all these people here into that sacred commitment to honor the Muqaddas Amanat, the sacred trust.
Wow. Among the various spiritual experiences you've had, what is the one, if I may ask, in the last many years, what's that one experience which kind of was a transformative moment in your life, so the viewers also can get a sense of what it could be?
Well, this is a very deep question and a very personal question. And of course, now this is a time that it could be shared on this platform that we are together with on a spiritual space. And the listeners are also evolved through what they have received. I would always share this, not publicly, but when we are in our spiritual gatherings, that the moment when I realized the power of surrender, the true power of surrender and submission to the higher being, this is what takes us to our destination, what we are destined to. In the Western perspective, often being surrender or submission means that you have given up to the challenges, to the situations, or you are kind of, in the Western understanding, they think that submission and surrender is you have accepted your defeat and you have given up. But in the spiritual realm, in my own personal experience, and so many evolved people who have walked this path of spirituality, it is freedom. Submission and surrender to the higher being is freedom. And that one moment that truly transformed my life into whatever I'm able to do today is, of course, came through a path of pain. And as today I remember when Daji was talking in the morning, and he was setting the context, and he truly said the spiritual context, that if you're on this path, pain would be your first friend. You have to embrace pain. The more you walk, the more pain would come. And that would only come to make you more stronger, not to make you weak. क्योंकि ये इश्क नहीं आसा, इश्क हकीकी, the divine love. ये इश्क नहीं आसा, एक आँख का दरिया है, ocean of fire. और डूब के जाना है. You have to get drowned to get across. Wow. So when I was 21, I had just completed my graduation from Mumbai University in Economics and Commerce. My father was there. And I had an option to go to UK or for my master's in MBA, but my heart was not into it. And I said that I don't want to do 10 to 5 job. I came back after my graduation to Ajmer Sharif and sat in silence with Khaja Gharib Nawaz Rastana. I said, I don't want to do a 10 to 5 job. If you want to really give me a job. That was my silent communication with Gharib Nawaz himself. Because, we do know and have this understanding that Khaja Gharib Nawaz's presence is still there. The spiritual presence is still there. So we communicate through these channels. If you want to give me a job, give me a 24-hour job. कभी-कभी दुआएं भी सोच समझ के मांगनी पड़ती हैं. सुन लेते हैं. So then it becomes a 24-hour job. So then I went to the Middle East for my research in languages, spiritual traditions, Sufi traditions, Arabic language. I was there for about 6 to 8 months, and then overnight my life changed. My father passed away. I got a call. I was not in India. I had to come back to India. And I couldn't even reach at the last rite of my father. It was my younger brother who did the whole thing. On the third day, because this is for the global audience and this is that one transformative moment. On the third day, we have the prayer ceremony where the Gaddi Nashini, that turban ceremony, we call it the Pagdi Rasam in Rajasthani dialect, where mandate has been passed on to the eldest son. So when that was done, the entire community was there in the Dargah, and we had like white turban that was tied around me. And then they took me inside to the main maqam of Khaja Gharib Nawaz, the main threshold, the samadhi, where their feet are. My spiritual teacher was with me. And I bowed down and my head was at the feet of Khaja Gharib Nawaz and in silence. Because when I returned, I was in a state of numbness, not knowing it. Overnight, something I was not prepared. I was just 21. So when my head was at the feet of Khaja Gharib Nawaz, I made a commitment. And that is the transformative moment that I feel that truly changed the course of my life, where I was heading, and what I'm doing today is completely opposite. And I just said that I don't know, in this state that I have been called here, you have called me, O Master. I'm submitting myself. Whatever I have studied, learned, I've gotten in a state of zero, nothingness. I'm submitting myself as a blank paper at your feet, O Master, from this day. You write what you want to write on this blank paper, and that would be my life. That was my silent commitment with Khaja Gharib Nawaz, radiallahu anhu. That on this blank paper, you write whatever you want to write. When I turn back, when I go out and face the world, first time after my father, after my mentor, and totally unprepared, I would not apply my brain, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do. It is you who's going to write on that blank paper, and that would be my life. And today, 16 years, when I look back at that moment, I never had to, look back on these challenges. Representing India over 100 countries and, things which I would have never, ever imagined that I would be able to accomplish. It is only through that commitment and power of submission that these divine blessings are unfolding each day. Even today, this moment is written by the hand of the great master that is we are experiencing together. कि एक कोरे कागज की तरह अपने आप को उनके कदमों में रख दें.
Really?
आप ही लिखें जो लिखना है, and that would be my life. That was that commitment that truly, beyond this, I don't think any more word that could be helpful in sharing this, because it's a very emotional and personal moment for me, which I haven't shared much, even with some of the closest family members, that what really happened in that moment when I put my head at the feet of Khaja Gharib Nawaz first time, with that responsibility which has been passed on from last 800 years.
I'm really touched that you shared this with me. In fact, as you share it, what I'm reminded of is the Heartfulness prayer, because the words you said, is exactly similar to the Heartfulness prayer. O Master, thou art the real goal of human life. We are yet but slaves of wishes, putting bar to advancement. Thou art the only God in power to bring us up to that stage. And I think you covered it all in that entire experience. So the world is going through a lot of pain and suffering. A lot of wars happening. A lot of strife, which is all are aware of. From the Sufi teachings perspective, what would you say are some of the solutions that you could have for the painful world around us?
Well, the solution lies within us, individuals. The moment we start realizing that as a keeper of the sacred trust that has been entrusted upon us from the divine, and the entire family, and the world, which is one family, as we start taking care of the human heart. In today's session, I spoke about this, the essence of spiritual traditions in all faith, all traditions, it comes down to one core thing, and that is when we start learning to take care of the human heart. कि ख्यालों का भी ख्याल रखना ही अध्यात्म है. Even the thought that comes to your heart, that should be taken care of. और अजमेर दरगाह शरीफ में हमें यही सिखाया जाता है बचपन से भी, that ख्यालों का भी ख्याल रखें. गरीब नवाज का पैगाम यही है कि take care of the human heart. Even a thought that comes to their heart must be taken care of. That's why when anybody comes to the Dargah Ajmer Sharif, we never ask anybody's name, religion, nationality, where they come from, what language they speak. If we have to ask them only one question: how can we serve you? If you are blessed with the worldly resources, if some needy people come, go ahead and help them. If you're not possess any worldly resources, then God has given us these two hands. Make prayers, make dua for them. Because prayers have this effect. And in today's time, the most powerful tool that we can overcome all these challenges, the wars that we're seeing, is the power of prayer, meditation, that can truly bring about the transformation that is all longing within our common desires and common heart. And that is why we have to lead by example, especially the spiritual leaders. They must have an impact outside their centers, their traditions, their devotees, especially when we're talking about the leadership of the world. There has to be a developed communication channel where we can transmit these energies, these messages, and these dialogues, heart to heart, to those who are in the position of making such policies which are affecting millions of people. We have to give the spark. And we have to start wherever we are. We don't have to look for any platform or any spaces where we have this access. Wherever we are, when we start sending these positivities, somewhere or the other, as I said earlier, that the whole universe conspire to bring us to that moment of solution, that moment of peace and tranquility. And we have seen in the past, when you look at the past conflict, they were not resolved with more conflicts. They were resolved with reaching out to each other. And this is the moment with all the spiritual leaders must reach out and disseminate this message that violence would only enhance violence. It is the power of patience and gratitude that can eventually evolve us to overcome these states of worldly engagements and destruction of each other. That is something very important, that these two powers that we all have within ourselves, but often with the irony is with this today's 21st century materialistic life, we often don't utilize this spiritual essence and the power that we have. And that is the power of shukr and the power of sabr. In the times of test and tribulation and challenges, be in the state of sabr, patience. Nothing will take you to the state of anxiety, negativity, hopelessness, depression, or sleeping pills.
Oh.
If we are equipped with the power of sabr, no matter the big challenge, how bigger the loss came in, whatever the losses came up to us, or no matter how bad our day is, at the end of the day, we have to sleep with sabr, in a state of sabr, patience. And when we wake up with the sense of gratitude, shukr. No matter what you become in the world, maybe most powerful person, most wealthiest person, or most influential person, if we are equipped with the power of gratitude, we will always be humble. Those worldly attributes will never be able to overcome our ego and make us like proud, arrogant, or egoistic. So the power of patience and gratitude will enable us to face these challenges, which often sometimes look like, oh, this is like the end of the world. But there is always the beginning when we think that no, the divine rahmat, the rahmat and the grace of God is always there. It's just that He's looking at us, pray. That is the power that each and every individual can overcome with these challenges that we are looking and witnessing in our lifetime.
Really well said. I truly was touched by the sabr and shukr, that combination. A lot of our viewers are young individuals, between the age of 25 to 40, the kind of confused generation, working in corporates and with very little time to pray or to meditate or to think of anything else except their responsibilities, etc. So what would be your advice to such individuals?
I would say that those young people, every breath is sacred. Every breath that we take, if we conscious breathing, that is where conscious breathing, where the Sufi masters and tradition, I'm sure at Heartfulness also, there is very much tawajjuh is given at the conscious breathing. So when we are in an environment of a corporate world and wherever we are, whatever we're doing, when we are able to make our work our meditation, our work our zikr, our simran, that will give us that tranquility and that calmness, that we would never be agiated or we will never be in this state of mental disturbance with the worldly influence. So I think I'll share one of the story, because Sufis are always full of stories. I had one friend, a common friend. He was from the top corporate world. His name is Brian. He was from New York earlier. And he had come to Ajmer Sharif with a common friend from Mumbai. And now this is a person who doesn't know anything about Ajmer Sharif. He just came as an individual. He had come to Asia for the first time to train HSBC bank employees in Mumbai. He got off, he comes to Ajmer Sharif. He introduced himself. We go to the Dargah. He saw all the monuments outside. 500 years old, 600 years old. He understood everything from his mind. That, this is this history. We went inside the main sanctum sanctorium. And in 5 minutes, we offered the prayers. He wouldn't have understood. I did the prayers in Hindi, Urdu. He wouldn't have understood. We came out. When we came out, he held my hand. He told me, Mr. Chishty, can I ask you a question? I thought maybe he will ask me something about the historical context. What is this place is? I said, outside I understood, the historical context. But can you truly, and he was a bit emotional. And Americans, they're not very expressive of their emotion. And he said, can you tell me what really happened inside the sanctum sanctorium? So I asked him, did you feel anything? He said, look, I'm not a religious person, not a spiritual person. I'm in my corporate world, checking our profit losses around the world. And that's my life. The only moment of spirituality or religion or faith I remember is when I was a child. My grandmother would take me to a church. And since then, I have never had any interaction or any, experience of any faith or tradition. But when that holy cloth was on my head inside and you recited some prayers, after many years, I could remember my grandmother, which is very unusual for me. And he was truly genuine in his approach, in his question. So he asked me, can you tell me, what is this? And this is a person who doesn't know anything about Ajmer Sharif. But he's having this experience of the past with his grandmother. So I looked at him, I smiled, I said that if I'm going to really explain what's going to happen, what happened inside, you will miss your flight. You have to go to Jaipur. But I'll tell you in one line. Since you're from the corporate world, you have all these responsibilities. I'll tell you in one line and remember that probably this is the moment that you realize again that there is a soul within your body. You are focusing on your body. He was a tall guy, big build, Americans, how they are. So I said, you focus on your body, but in this time, you have forgotten about the soul. And the soul is sick. And that's the sickness of the soul. Sometimes is evidently visible. Sometimes we are into different states of our emotions. I said, so this is the moment that you realize there is a soul in your body. Nourish it. And remember it, this moment of realization. So acknowledging the presence of the soul within our worldly engagement is very important. Often in the 21st century, the young people, they don't really focus on the soul. And it is not that when the soul is sick, it is not going to affect. What is the first effect of sickness? What is the first physical and visible effect of the sickness of the soul? Let me ask you one question.
Breathing pattern.
Mm-hmm. Eventually that happens. What is the first visible sign?
Mind, clarity lost.
Eventually that also happens. The first visible sign of the sickness and sadness of the soul that should make us conscious that we have to take care of, we have to nourish the soul, is that the noor of your face, the light of your face, the tej that we call, that will be taken off.
Oh.
I'm not talking about the complexion of the person, white, black, brown. It is the noor, the spiritual light on the face, that will be diminished. And that would make us conscious that no, the soul is sick and we have to nourish it. And to nourish the soul, we don't have to remember many verses or, it's just that moment that we acknowledge and we are in the state of shukr and sabr.
Wow. That's
what I told him. And he went back, few years went by. He called me after, I think, a couple of years. I said, Mr. Chishty, how are you? I said, yes, Brian, how are you? You remember me? Oh, yes, my life changed since I came back from India. He was like in a different mode. I said, what happened? Tell us. He said, now I'm in California. I'm again working in a very big company. But what happened? And this is very important that the youth must reflect. That when I came back from earlier, when I would walk into my office, I would just walk and talk about our corporate losses, profits around the world, talk to my colleagues and then come back. I always felt a void in my life. I couldn't understood that void. कोई कमी होती, खालीपन होता है. But since I've come back from India, when I walked to my office, I could see smiles on my colleagues' faces. I could see if they are happy or sad today. I started having a human conversation with them. I could acknowledge that maybe they're sad or happy. So we started having a human conversation. And then we started talking as human. Earlier we were just discussing our profit losses. So that gave me a lot of happiness and satisfaction. And that void which was there in my life, it vanished. I said, okay, stick to that and be in acknowledgement of the soul and keep nourishing the soul. So we have to nourish the soul with meditation, prayers, gratitude, patience, like we keep our body healthy, right? Now it is Ramzan time, so we are fasting, right? But normally we have to have meals, right? If a human body, for a week, if you don't have any meal without water, you'll be weak. 10 days, you'll be on the bed. A normal human, I'm not talking about evolved souls or, big yogis or the Sufis. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about normal human beings. A normal human being cannot survive more than 40 days without food and water. They would die. That's the state of the body that we are in. Imagine the soul, which has not been nourished for years and years and years. What state would be? They would be living, of course, physically. But it often, when we say that, we're living like a dead life and I don't really feel anything. This is because of the sickness and sadness of the soul. And I think places like Heartfulness, it is a place where you just walk in and the nourishment of the soul starts. Whether in silence, whether in words, whether in seva, serving, smiles on people, that's the nourishment of the soul. And the best is silence. Because as Maulana Rumi says, silence is the language of God.
God.
All else is just translations.
Brilliant. Great to hear that. One last question before we close for the day. Heartfulness Institute and Chishty Foundation, going ahead, 2025, 26, 27, where do you see some sort of a very strong bond collaboration in order to provide real service to the people around us?
Absolutely. I think this is something I truly felt today being physically here. As I said, I don't feel that this is the first time, but physically, yes. And being in the presence of the Haji is so empowering, so motivating. And that look in his eyes, when he's looking at, that's the Nazar-e-Karam of Murshid-e-Kamil. That's what is so important when we are together, serving together, and so many people here. So as we met again and we presented the artwork, he was so happy with that art of, what he could, I don't even have to explain what it was. He saw that and it's like a dervish artwork. And truly he could understand that the dervish life is like one hand, when the whirling dervishes, if you have noticed, one hand is towards the sky and the other is towards the earth. And it's a symbolic gesture that when you're whirling, that the dervish, a faqir, a mystic, his job is that he receives from God with one hand and give it to the dunya with the other hand. That's his only job. And I think with Foundation Initiative, we'll be very, very happy to have this guidance from Heartfulness traditions. And as well as wherever we are serving in the world, we'll be happy to collaborate on multiple levels. Spiritual level, in the level of education, in the level of art, spiritual art, in the level of, I'm sure we can do a Sufi Rang festival here at the Heartfulness. I think that's a brilliant, it just came to my mind now that you asked me, that 16 years we have been getting those artists from around the world. So we can collaborate and bring those artists here and have this Heartfulness spiritual art. You already have a museum here on the spiritual sciences. So that would add to that magnanimity, which is already present here. And likewise in Ajmer Sharif, we would like to have a presence of Heartfulness Meditative Center. Like I said, that some of the books that we start having in the library, because we have sections of all multi-faith, interfaith gatherings, meditative practices. We could have a dedicated section of Heartfulness literature for thousands of devotees who are coming there and experiencing this to start with. And then eventually develop a place of interactive sessions and heartful meditation. I'm like, we'll be very happy to collaborate on that in
Great.
India and anywhere in the world that we're working together. We
Amazing.
remain at service. That's our
Perfect.
commitment, that, from this moment onwards, we remain committed to any initiative where the Heartfulness family feel and Daji instruct us, guide us, that, order us, that Salman, do this. We are together. And
Great.
likewise, as I said, this is a family reunion. We have a resemblance of this place. So we can say that we are not now just the guest, but we are also the host at the
Host.
Heartfulness.
Wow. I think on this very happy and inspiring note, I'd like to really thank you for your time.
Absolutely. We are very happy for this moment. And I'm sure this spiritual family and the relationship of teacher, as I shared today in my session, I would like to conclude with that the loving glance of the spiritual master is so helpful in transformative ways. And whether in the physical realm or the spiritual realm, we have to be connected with the both. And as in one of the hadith Qudsi, it says, Allahu Jamilun wa Hubbul Jamal, that God is beautiful and He loves beauty. Another hadith Qudsi which truly emphasize on knowing thyself. Who know themselves knows their Lord.
Wow.
Aina arafu nafsuhu faqat arafu rabbuhu. Those who know themselves knows their Lord. So one of the sayings that we have grown up in Ajmer Sharif about the loving glance of the murshid, of the teacher, the guide, is Tera dayar hai Daras Salam ya Khaja. Daras Salam is abode of peace. Ke Tera dayar hai Daras Salam ya Khaja. Tajalliyan hai nayi subh sham ya Khaja. Tajalliyas are the divine showers. At the sacred maqam, the tajalliyats are the divine shower. Tajalliyan hai nayi subh sham ya Khaja. Na fikr mein na ghame jam tere maston ko. Teri ek nigah se chalta hai kaam ya Khaja. That those who are intoxicated with this divine glance have no fear and no sorrow.
Wow.
Na fikr mein na ghame jam tere maston ko. Teri ek nigah se chalta hai kaam ya Khaja. इसी चीज को बाबा फरीद, शेख फरीद ने बड़े खूबसूरत अंदाज में फरमाया. He was lying down, he was sitting under a tree, and there was a crow. Beautiful stories there. So he said, look at the crow, and he said in Punjabi Gurmukhi Zaban, Kaga kaga sab tan khaiyo, ye do naina na khaiyo. Kaga kaga sab tan khaiyo, ye do naina na khaiyo. Ye do naino which piya hai basta. Ki my murshid, these two eyes have seen my murshid, and that's the only memory I have. So you can eat everything but leave my eyes, because these are the eyes which guides me, because with these eyes I have seen my master.
Wow.
I think this is something so profound that to have a presence, and I'm really congratulate dil se aap tamam logon ke liye dua isliye ki you have a guide, you have a master, you have a teacher who is more than any family that you could imagine. It is like embrace of unconditional love.
Completely agree with you.
That's what Maulana Rumi has said. Na? Before he met his spiritual teacher, he was just an ordinary Maulvi, like a teacher, like a religious teacher. So he says, Maulvi hargiz nashud maulai room. Maulvi hargiz nashud maulai room az ghulami shams tabrezi nashud. कि Maulana Room बनने के पहले he was just a Maulvi. जब Shams Tabrez, who was his spiritual teacher, उनकी गुलामी, he accepted his mastership. Then he became the Maulana Rumi, which the world knows today, even after 700 years. His Masnavi is guiding. And today, at the beautifully concluding words of Daji Sahab, when he talked about the drop in the ocean.
Yes.
So that's from the Masnavi, where Maulana Rumi says that don't be the drop. Don't consider yourself as just a drop in the ocean. When you merge with the ocean, you become the ocean. So that's the magnanimity of the Murshid Kamil, the true guide, true teacher. And we're happy that we could interact with him today and hear the big Heartfulness family. बहुत बहुत दुआएं आपके लिए from Ajmer Dargah Sharif.
Thank you so much.
Blessings, heart to heart, सीना बसीना.
Thank you.
आदाब,
Thank you
सलाम,
so much.
नमस्कारम.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of KanaCast. Do subscribe to Kanacast on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify. Until the next episode, from the entire Kanacast team, namaste and goodbye.